Well, we bet him. Good luck. Is he a grifter or is his brain just rotted? He's either grifting or he's getting paid by somebody. I think. I really do. It's one of those two. He doesn't. They're not genuinely his beliefs. He's either grifting hard or somebody is paying him for these opinions. My bet would be that he's just grifting really, really, really hard. That would be my bet, because I think that he makes way too much money for somebody to pay him off. Unless, I'm trying to think. Unless they find ways to funnel money, or unless his audience isn't real, unless a lot of it is botted. Not safe for life, don't watch. Brandishing a gun gone wrong. Oof, he did. Well, I don't know, actually. Ooh, he might be. I think that's fine. Lawful draw, shoot. The only criticism that I would give for the driver, although it's what's happening, basically this guy's standing outside this guy's truck. He walks up, he pulls a gun, and then the guy in the truck just takes out a pistol and shoots him 3 or 4 times. I think the only criticism is 4th rule of gun ownership. Sometimes people only say there's 3, but there's 4. The 4th one is always be aware what's beyond your target. Is shooting anybody in a public area is kind of spooky. But I mean, like, the truck is like kind of stuck here. The guy's got a gun and he's standing right next to him. Like, I think it's probably justifiable. I think it's certainly justifiable. That's like the biggest nitpick ever that I could give. Yeah. Kind of feels just like murder. Like, should give them a chance. He literally has a gun pulled. What are you talking about? Maybe I'm assuming that guy in chat just didn't see it. Me getting ready for war. Retweeting the docs of a middle-aged minimum wage cashier because she made a stupid Facebook comment. I can't believe that this is another thing. Dude, how can libs of TikTok operate, not with impunity even, but with like condoning of Elon Musk? He like retweets the account and he says shit sometimes. How is that possible? Somebody said it's because they have no values. That's not true. They do have values. They're just all right-wing values. Is the tier 1 rating room a place to wait to talk with you? Yeah. Okay. Throw all of our links. I'll chat with one person. But your name on Discord has absolutely nothing to do with your name in YouTube. So I don't even know how... What is your thought process here? How am I supposed to even know who you are? Joey Marshall. I see Anarcho Rain, Goldie McGoldfish, Hope, Making My Way Downtown, and Stop Busting. They have a very narrow definition of doxing. Bullshit. I don't believe that. Because if you were to start doing it to them, they'd get the broadest definition possible. He's in the tier 1 room. JM5, is that him? Are you Joey Marshall? JWM. Joey W. Marshall. 5. Are there 5 of you? Do you have alters?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, what's up?
I emailed you a while ago about the idea of malum inse. I wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that.
I don't remember the email. I don't even know if I read it. I've gotten so many emails. What's the summary? Wait, is this even a disagreement or is this just a chat about?
This is more a chat about I disagree with the idea that malum inse is rotting your brain. You said that a while ago.
Okay, give me the 5 second spiel about it. What about it?
Pretty much we should be held accountable for people doing negative things within our own countries. Therefore, we should be held accountable, or others should be held accountable for others doing negative things in their own countries. There is inherently evil things that we can argue against, I think. Um, that's all.
There are inherently evil things we can't argue against. Okay. Wait, what would I disagree with about this?
You were just commenting about how Malaminse was quote unquote rotting your brain, and I just don't
Oh,
think that's a good perspective
when
to
I said it
have.
was rotting my
I
brain, what I meant was that like I could just start labeling everything I don't like as Malum didn't say or whatever, and now I don't even need a law to say that something's bad. I can just say that it's bad because I'm saying it's bad. I found a way to like smuggle some personal moral choice into like a legal system, and that would be like a really bad thing to do. That's what I meant when I jokingly said it was rotting my brain.
Okay, my misunderstanding. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay. I love you. Be careful.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Bro, you see, I don't have time for this. Okay. Did you finish Hunter x Hunter? No, I haven't yet. Stop. Bro, I've seen you type this comment 50 million times. I've seen it. Please stop typing the same comment. Just as a heads up, I ban for 3 months if you type the same comment over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Please stop spamming the same fucking comment over and over and over again. Holy shit. Oh my god, stop. Jesus Christ. Somebody linked me from the Epoch Times. Is that a real publication or is that like some weird alt-right publication? I have no idea. Prominent speakers stress the importance of freedom at Victoria Conference. Victoria, the third annual Reclaiming Canada Conference was held in Victoria, June 22nd and 23rd, to a weekend crowd of approximately 1,000 people, with speakers from Canada, the US, and even Europe. Oh. Wait, what did she say when I asked her where she was from? On our Twitter space. Katrina Panova, known as Kat Kanata on social media, who fled the USSR as a child with her parents. Conference volunteer Katrina Panova, better known as Kat Kanata. Hey, it's me. He couldn't understand the difference? Laughing face. Institution like the... Oh, between the church and government. The church doesn't have an army. Wait, what did she say when I asked what her job was? She didn't say, did she? The USSR was more than Russia, to be fair. No, it wasn't. You're banned. Get the fuck out of here, tool. Yes, they were autonomous. They were fully autonomous states operating within the Soviet Union. Oh, we weren't part of the Soviet Union. We're not taking orders from Russia. We're our own independent country that exists as part of the Union, the Soviet states, or whatever. What does USSR stand for again? Socialist Soviet Republic? The United? Is that? Am I making that up? Yeah, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Yeah. Yes, we're just a member of this good, great union. Conference volunteer Katrina Panova, better known as Kat Kanata, who has built a career on social media, said due to having fled Soviet-controlled Moldova with her family when she was 11 years old, she knows firsthand the perils of suppression of speech and ideas. People like myself who fled communism and other immigrants as well, who were sounding the alarms, like this is what's happening and it's not good. This can't lead anywhere good. Transnistria, right? Do you think that's where she was? That's the Soviet-controlled part, right? Is it? I wonder if she says Moldova. Oh, or maybe I don't know her age for anything, so I have no idea. All of Moldova was Soviet back then. Yeah, but if she left when she was 11, and the whole country was still controlled by. Oh well, it says Soviet controlled, so I'm assuming that it means the entire. So how old is she? Wait, the Soviet Union collapsed in '91, which is 33 years ago, and then she would have been 11 in 1990, so she's at least 45 years old? Am I missing something? As a heads up, especially if you're a woman in chat, I am so sorry. For all of the fucking virgin fuck retards in chat going like, oh no, she looks like she's 45. Oh, she looks like she's 45. The fuck out of here. She looks amazing for 45, if she's actually 45. Her hair is very shiny and nice. She probably has some makeup for wrinkles or whatever. Lips are nice and, if she's 45, she looks very, 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 very good for 45. Exceptionally well for 45. The idea that you're looking like, oh yeah, that obviously 40s plus. Bullshit. Bullshit. This person in this picture could easily pass for 30. Easily pass for 30. You're unhinged. You're absolutely a virgin, touchless fuck that has never laid eyes on a real woman in your life if you think that she's obviously 45. Jesus Christ. Now I see signs of hope and seeds of hope for people unifying, like here at the We Unify Reclaiming Canada conference, she said. It's given me a lot of motivation to just forge ahead and keep going. If I start looking into... Bro, I feel like this is what conservatives feel like when they start going down like the QAnon rabbit hole. If I start looking this shit up, am I going to find that this is some like fucking Russian-funded or Russian-supported or backed organization? Destiny, can you open this page and tell me if you think this person is just a bot? No, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to go through all this shit today. But like, what is this? Protest outside controversial Reclaiming Canada conference in Victoria. Okay, the Reclaiming Canada, organized by We Unify, is featuring speakers such as Freedom Convoy organizers Tamara Litch and Chris Barber, reality television's Dr. Drew Pinsky, and former Newfoundland, I think they pronounce it Newfoundland, right? And Labrador Retriever Premier Brian Peckford, who sued the federal government over its COVID-19 vaccine requirements for air travel. Together, we can reclaim democracy. We Unify is an independent and nonpartisan volunteer organization that confronts deep-rooted challenges in democracy while defending against new threats. Yeah, this Megan Murphy girl. Fuck me, dude. Yeah, we've argued. She's insane. Wait. What is... Hold on. Epoch Times is a Chinese faction. They're very hard to categorize. Them covering it points there. Has anybody ever... Huh. Okay, so like if it's an independent and nonpartisan volunteer organization, if they don't take donations, then they probably don't have to have any public filings, right? So there'd be no way to see like their... I don't have time. I don't want to... WeUnify.ca. Donate. Thank you for considering making donations to support our efforts to stand up for democracy. Well, but like if you take donations as a private entity, you don't get like a tax receipt for it, right? So I think they can accept donations but still be private. Am I wrong about that? Oh, bro, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want it. RTBA is asking me if I think this account is a bot. Bro, I don't know anymore. I don't know for any of these accounts. I said this jokingly like 6 months ago, remember? Where I'm like, I don't believe any of these like conservative women accounts. I don't think any of them are real. I think they're all bots. Wait, holy shit. 54 seconds ago, 1 minute ago, 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 2 hours ago. That's a repost. 9 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, 18, 18, 18, 18 minutes, 19, 21, 21, 21, 21, 21, 22, 23, 22 minutes ago. Holy shit. This account is not real. 293,000 posts in 4 years. This is not a real account. Jesus Christ. Creating candid, cerebral, conservative content, controversy, chuckles, and an occasional cuss word. America first, First Amendment, Second Amendment, pro-life, Christian, married, no DMs, because she's a bot. Username is 1776 Diva. Jesus. I sent an email about my recent experience with cancer titled, I had cancer, I understand Boogie. Wondering if it makes sense. Nope, I moved off it. Don't care. Okay. "11 minutes.
Hello friends! Today I'm going to tell you about something very strange that happened to me the other day. But first, some background. Now I live in a big city, which means that the Shenyun performers recently came to town. If you live in a big city like me, you are probably vaguely familiar with them. They are like a traditional Chinese dance troupe thing. They were here in Vancouver during March, and during that time, they were really advertising all over the place. You'd go to the mall and they would have like a little table set up in the middle of the place with, you know, the brochures and like a little TV playing highlights from the show. Now, I don't know about you, but traditional Chinese dancing has never really been my thing, so I did not give the Shenyun people that much attention when they first appeared. But at the same time, they were pretty hard to ignore. They had ads all over the train and in the newspaper and in billboards all over town. down, you know, it was a little bit much. And after a while, something started to feel a little bit off about them, like that maybe they were trying a little bit too hard. I was at Best Buy one day, and right at the entrance, they had a little Shen Yun display with the TV. And so I stood there and I watched a bit of the trailer, and it was pretty odd. They showed some testimony of people who were supposedly just leaving the performance, and they all seemed just a little bit too giddy.
I'm incredibly inspired after coming tonight.
I feel 30 years younger.
Normally I'm bored when she takes me to these things, but I loved it. I could go another couple hours.
It was just amazing. Yeah.
See it 100 more times.
It's actually even worse if you visit the website. I've reviewed over 3,000 shows. None can compare to what I saw tonight. Go back and see it about 6 times, says...
You shit on one of the Falun Gong media outlets in 2020, China Uncensored / America Uncensored, when they were megaphoning election conspiracy theories.
Richard Connema, renowned Broadway critic. Go see it to believe it, because otherwise you are going to miss the most important thing in your life, says Joe Hurd, former White House photographer who watched Shen Yun 3 times. This is what he is credited as. I noticed a lot of the testimonials also made a big deal about how supposedly spiritually uplifting the show is in particular. A lot of the rhetoric is like...
I see God. I see the spirit of love and peace and the way that you would want the universe to be.
Now, as you have probably concluded by now, Shen Yun is actually just a front for a cult. Here is an excerpt from a review in the New Yorker. The dances continued, sleeves swirling, skirts rippling. A man came on stage to sing a song in Chinese, which was translated on the screen behind him. We followed Dafa, the great way, he began, singing about a creator who saved mankind and made the world anew. Atheism and evolution are deadly ideas. Modern trends destroy what make us human, he sang. That same New Yorker piece also noted that there isn't really even such a thing as traditional Chinese dance. The Shen Yun people just exploit the cultural ignorance of white folk to reel them in. But here is where the story gets even more interesting. You see, Shen Yun is run by the Shen Yun Performing Arts Organization, which is run by the Falun Gong. The Falun Gong is a Chinese cult started in 1992 by Li Hongzhi, who claims to be a supernatural being from another dimension sent to Earth to save humanity through a combination of breathing exercises and books on tape. The pitch is that if you follow Master Li's teachings, you can eventually cleanse your body of all weakness and illness, and eventually transcend the fleshy prison of the cursed human world and ascend to a higher plane of existence where you can become a perfect godlike being, much like Master Li himself. It's a lot like Scientology, basically. And much like Scientology, as long as you profess undying loyalty to the Master, you will eventually be saved when the era of great cleansing comes and the enlightened are separated from the impure. Incidentally, in Master Li's world, impure behavior includes things such as using medicine, homosexuality, and race mixing. So yes, the whole thing seems a bit nuts. But hold on to your hats, because it gets even weirder from here. You see, we are not supposed to say too many mean things about the Falun Gong people because they are so heavily persecuted by the Chinese government. Much like the Romans in Jesus' time, the Chinese Communist Party considers Master Li to be a troublemaker whose wacky beliefs could undermine their tyrannical hold on the public. So Falun Gongism is banned in China, forcing Mr. Li to preach his nonsense from New York, where he has lived in exile since 1998. According to Amnesty International, over the last 20 years, tens of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners have been arbitrarily detained as part of a campaign of intimidation and persecution targeting the group. Practitioners have been held in psychiatric hospitals, re-education through labor facilities, a form of administrative detention imposed without charge, trial, or judicial review, or sentenced to long prison terms. This is obviously very sinister, but the Falun Gong people think it doesn't sound bad enough. Master Li obviously has vested interest in making himself sound very big and powerful and threatening, with, you know, millions of followers, and as a result...
By the way, this is why Shinzo Abe was assassinated? Wait, linked to this group, or...?
Falun Gong propaganda, including the Shen Yun show, often play up their persecution to, like,
Destiny different cult. Okay.
cartoonish extremes. I remember a while ago, the Falun Gong people commissioned this flaky Canadian politician named David Kilgore to write a big report proving that the Chinese government had in fact detained hundreds of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners and was harvesting their organs while they were still alive. This is a very common Falun Gong allegation, but it is also one that human rights experts are pretty skeptical of, just because there's not really a lot of hard evidence. The Chinese government does have a gruesome history of harvesting and selling the organs of executed prisoners, but there is no real proof that the Falun Gong people specifically have been on the receiving end of this, let alone that they comprise the majority of its victims. It seems like a bit of a PR tactic of just taking one of the most sensationalistically evil things that the Chinese government has ever done and trying to conflate it in the mind of the international community with the more generalized persecution of the Falun Gong. But anyway, the point is, because we in the West do not really like the Chinese communists, particularly how little respect their government seems to have for the right of freedom of religion in that country, there has been a lot of pressure over the years to not be too critical of the Falun Gong. The thinking is that if we concede that the Falun Gong is a cult, which is very...
How it seems so crazy that... I guess it's just by chance, or maybe it's not by chance, maybe it's because this is the only way things could have gone, is that the left is like the best poised to criticize crazy, like... I would say conservative or progressive social views, but they can't do it in communities of color, right? The left can't criticize the black community. The left can't criticize Muslims. Like, they just can't do it. They're toothless. So then you have like these people running rampant, and conservatives won't say anything about it because they agree with a lot of it, even if they won't say it. And then for conservatives, conservatives were supposed to be the people that can call out like conspiracy theories, like people, you know, like crazy foreign governments trying to intrude on our freedoms and do wacky shit like that. But like they won't do anything about Russia because it's Russiagate and they won't even touch it. So like both of our, like the strongest things that both political sides right now in North America are capable of calling out, they're unable to do so for like really random, stupid peripheral reasons. That's very, very fucking annoying.
Obviously is, we will be legitimizing the pretext that the Chinese use to suppress freedom of religion in general, particularly...
Wait, how do you feel about Elon adding cosmetic effects to pro-Trump hashtags on Twitter? Wait, what?
To Christians and Muslims. The Chinese state argues that religion is something inherently dangerous and subversive and thus needs to be controlled by the government. And we in the West say, no, religion is good and harmless, even though we all know on some level that that's not always true. Religious groups can, in fact, be bad things, but the Chinese have gone way too far with this conclusion, and we don't want to give them any moral cover for doing that. As a result...
Wait, somebody says that Candace calls out all things. Really? Is Candace calling out Russian intrusion into any part of our country right now? Candace Owens, Russia. Or do you think all of it is going to be favorable to Russia? Like in Russia, Ukraine, she's going to say, we don't want Ukrainians dying. And then for Russiagate, she's going to say that all of that is fake news. Candace Owens explains why America should not support Ukraine.
Picking a metric of what's the guy's IQ is not enough for me. First of all, he did not give you. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because it's what you do with your intelligence. You think he gave you an accurate recitation of Russian history starting in the 8th century because Candace just said so. She's wrong and you're wrong, okay? He did not give you an accurate recitation.
Oh, God. Who are they talking about? I hope they're talking about Dave Smith. I bet he did. That guy knows everything. Except, fuck, Dave Smith is what people accuse me of being, where he knows an okay amount of talking points and then he massively oversells how confident he is because he's like memorized a few lines. Oh, they're just talking about Putin. Oh, okay. Oh, this is when Putin gave his big speech about it.
He gave you a KGB doctored look at why it's okay that he wants to reestablish the Soviet Union. That's what he gave.
Oh, stop it.
Listen,
Stop
I'm not
it.
here to play Russia good,
Oh, and she believes it. She believes everything that Putin said.
Russia bad, okay?
Russia has a smaller GDP than California.
So what? So what? They're also invading a country right now just for avarice.
Americans are economically so unintelligible that they're going to believe
what I'm
that the
saying
threat
is-
that we are facing today is Russia trying to reestablish. This is like Cold War propaganda. We got to move on from that, okay?
But it's just as real now as it was then.
1960s.
And remember, in America, these people are allowed to be here right now doing things they could never do in Russia. Never. Nobody can speak out against Putin. He is at over 75% popularity polls because people know what happens if you answer differently. They make no money. They have no press freedoms. When they try to exercise themselves even on the internet,
Starting
they
to
get
sound like
chased.
America today. January 6th are locked up for
that
wrong
is
things. You
something-
locked up grandmas for expressing
that
their
is something to be
opinions.
concerned about.
You are saying
That is
that
something
if
to be
you
concerned
speak,
about.
that is
Not
not freedom of
admired,
press. You
but
sitting
used
here,
as a
they
point of
wanted to
fear.
arrest Tucker Carlson for going over to speak to a leader of a country that we are.
How is this possible? I don't understand how this is happening. How do you have so many conservatives that are... If you guys are younger, you just don't understand. Or maybe even if you're my age and you didn't have military parents, bro, or maybe it was just my parents. Maybe I'm biased. My impression is older Americans hated Russia. My God, bro, that Red Scare, Cold War mentality, at least for my parents who were in the Air Force, that shit was like traumatizing. The insane fear and antagonism towards Russia growing up. The idea that all of these people have completely switched sides.
Allegedly not at war with.
Listen.
So you're also describing America while you are telling us...
I'm not describing America. I'm describing what America should not be.
Like, she's giving perfect Russian propaganda, right? She's repeating, Constantine did it as well. They all have the exact same Russian propaganda talking points. The United States is just as corrupt as bad as you say Russia is. They're not even really that relevant. They don't actually represent a threat to us. The United States is actually the largest terrorist country in the world. Poor Ukrainians are dying for no reason where they don't need to be. The United States is the one that caused all the violence to happen in Ukraine. We were the ones that led the coup and the color revolution. Ukrainians voted to want to stay with Russia. The civil war was caused by Ukraine against poor, innocent, ethnic, civilian Russians. The biolabs and everything in Russia and the Nazi presence there is it's every single, they're in lockstep. Like, so much so that, like, if they were taking, like, if somebody were to tell me that it's a conspiracy and they're all getting orders, I would say bullshit. Because if Russia was leading this conspiracy, the orders wouldn't be so consistent. You would vary the talking points from person to person. Everybody wouldn't be literally in a lockstep in this. It'd be like cheating on another guy's test and getting an A+ and copying every single answer. You wouldn't. You make some wrong. You fuck some up intentionally. You don't want it to be obvious you copied your answers, right?
So be careful about putting up a model of what you think has some value.
Nobody said there was a model. We just said that it's very obvious that Putin can complete a sentence and that Biden can't.
Yeah,
and
he can complete a sentence. He can also likely murder his opponents. And that's a function of his intelligence also, because it's not guided by any sense of morality. And that matters too. And Tucker making the decision.
Gonzalo Lira was just killed by Zelensky. He's a thug. We shouldn't be supporting Ukraine.
Gonzo Lira was killed by Zelensky. That's Coach Red Pill, by the way, the guy that said that I was going to kill myself in 10 years. Was killed by Zelensky? That's another Russian talking point.
Too. And Tucker making the decision.
Gonzalo Lira was just killed by Zelensky. He's a thug. We shouldn't be supporting Ukraine at all, not a single dollar.
Even if that were true, which neither of us know whether it is, then that's a policy argument. Have the policy argument. The idea of good and evil, right and wrong, cheapens it. It cheapens it.
But you just did that.
I'm not doing it. I'm doing the opposite. I'm not triggered.
What
are you, 19? We're using 19-year-old woke language now that I'm triggered?
Okay,
I'm not triggered. I got my legs.
Oh.
It means I'm comfortable.
Okay, well, you just seemed a little triggered. Like,
well, I don't like setting up Putin as a model.
I didn't. Nobody here, everyone is listening to what I said, and I'm going to not just double down, I'm going to triple down, quadruple down on the fact that it's very obvious to the American people that our leaders are extremely lackluster, and that has been made even more abundantly clear after having watched Tucker Carlson sit across from Vladimir Putin, which was heroic on his part, because we are tired of being propagandized. We are tired of people pretending, if you live in Russia, there's going to be so much propaganda. There's so much propaganda here.
I agree.
Okay, we are suffering from the exact same things that you would...
There it is!
Remember,
if you learn one thing from me about Russian propaganda, the goal is not to make one side seem good and one side seem bad. It's to make everything seem like nonsense. Because when everything is nonsense, it allows you to pick and choose the thing that makes you feel the best without actually feeling like you're betraying some epistemic value, right? Everything is nonsense, so just pick what serves you the best, and then that's it. And then you head in that direction.
There's so much propaganda. There's so much propaganda here.
I agree.
Okay, we are suffering from the exact same things that you accuse Vladimir Putin of doing.
I agree.
Locking up people's opponents, right?
I agree. I don't agree with locking up their opponents.
FBI agents showing up on American people's doorsteps because they attended a rally on January 6th. 3 of my friends had FBI agents. They didn't even step foot in the Capitol, okay? Had FBI agents show up because they wanted any person that even showed up to hear Trump speak on January 6th to feel threatened by that, because the establishment said that you weren't allowed to support Donald Trump, okay? So I'm going to speak to how the public is feeling right now. And we are very aware of the fact that Joe Biden could potentially be dead right now, okay? We don't even know what he can barely make it through a sentence. And when we
this is 4 months ago,
see somebody
you do
like
know
Vladimir
that Joe Biden
Putin
is
who
not
is able
dead,
to
right?
is what?
You do know that Joe Biden's not dead. And you do know that he wasn't shot up with something.
No, I actually do.
before he went out there.
I actually do believe he was shot up with adrenaline.
Come on.
Like, look at this as an example, right? Every single conservative have said this over and over and over again. Like, oh yeah, Joe Biden's on drugs. Oh, he's shot up with something. And then liberals even join in the joking. They're allowed to say anything. They can speak with impunity about anything, right? So she just spent the last 2 minutes on her knees, slurping on Putin's fucking cock. Can you imagine if Biden went up and started speaking about how heroic and brave he thought that Castro was? Or maybe that Che Guevara was actually a really effective freedom fighter? Or that maybe Lenin or Stalin didn't have everything wrong? Or that maybe Mao was actually really admirable with how he pushed society through industrialization, right? It would be over. It would be game over. If any, or that right now in Vietnam, maybe the way that they organize under a single party, or in China, organize under a single party, maybe these things are actually admirable. It'd be over if a leading liberal said any of these things. But Candace Owens can just say this openly. There's not even, you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. You're like, oh yeah, just Candace Owens, right? Yeah, just Candace. You don't even think about it.
And you do know that he wasn't shot up with something.
No, I actually do. I actually do believe he was shot up with adrenaline.
Come on.
What do you mean, come on? JFK used to do that.
Come on.
So it's like,
listen,
they obviously are giving him drugs
the
before he
truth
speaks.
is enough. And I'll tell you why.
Who used to do that?
Come on.
No, I actually do. I actually do believe he was shot up with adrenaline.
Come on.
What do you mean, come on? JFK used to do that.
Come on.
Pompeii? If you were to get shot up with adrenaline before going on stage, would that even help you? JFK?
I actually do believe he was shot up with adrenaline before he goes. I think.
I'm trying to think. For an ordinary healthy person, if you were to get shot up with adrenaline, fight or flight I don't think helps you at all when you do speeches. But if you're like very low on, I don't think it's a matter of like you need an appropriate level of adrenaline. That's like a binary thing, right? This is like sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system activation. I don't think adrenaline would help you. No? One, I'm not sure how long adrenaline lasts on the body. Adrenaline is gone in like 15 minutes. Yeah, so you would crash super hard. Two, you would, I think that if you want to accuse somebody of like taking an amphetamine or something, maybe that would help more. It would, at the very least, it would keep you awake, or like caffeine or something, like a stimulant of some kind. But do you think adrenaline counts as a stimulant? No way, right? Is adrenaline a stimulant? Oh, it is. Epinephrine is a natural stimulant. Okay, then I guess like there would have to be a certain class of stimulants that would help. Who joined? Oh shit, fuck. Come tomorrow. I'm so sorry. My life is crazy right now, Anna, but I love you, okay?
Oh.
Or if you can do it in 5 or 10 minutes, go for it. What's up? Anna.
Okay.
Hello. Okay, hey, yes. Listen, all right? Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, Russia controls my country. I have been down such a horrible fucking rabbit hole recently. You have no idea. Okay, you're Ukrainian. What would you know about Russia, okay? Listen, seriously? Holy fuck, Okay? Holy fuck.
Told you.
It's
before.
It's I'm getting conspiratorial. I need to chill. It's really wild though. It's really wild and really wacky. Like, what the fuck? Sorry.
It's not. It's actually what they do. It's like hybrid warfare is their whole thing. And yeah. And I have been shocked as well when I just started listening to Americans in like 22 when, you know, the invasion started. I was like, what the fuck? Why everyone is like spewing literal Russia propaganda in English?
It's like if somebody, like I said this earlier, if somebody told me that there was a conspiracy, my strongest argument against it would be that if it was a conspiracy, they would at least vary the talking points. You wouldn't email the exact same talking points to literally every single fucking person. But it's lockstep. And then like all of these fucking orgs, they get all of this fucking random international funding, and then all of these orgs that have been tied internationally to other things, the fucking bot networks that operate on Twitter. Something that's fucking my mind up is the fact that Elon bought Twitter and then privated Twitter and then fired 2/3 of the employees, and Twitter runs as like a de facto like Russian playground bot network where every single centrist like does every single Russian talking point. What the fuck?
Yes.
And I don't know if you're aware of this in U.S. politics. You can't say anything about it because as soon as you mention Russia, they go, oh, Russiagate, Russiagate, oh, Russiagate, oh. Like when they try to get Trump for Russiagate, Russiagate.
Yes, it's actually unironically what people think like Israel does.
Yes.
They're like yes, and it's actually, and if you're a leftist, then that's what you've been taught America does. Like meddling everywhere, you know, doing like chaotic shit all over the place, controlling people, removing governments and sponsoring people. Like that's actually what they do, unironically, yeah. And I actually wanted you to talk with the dude that Crowd recommended to you. I think if you have time, you will be like shooketh.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, I might in a few days. Yeah, I've got something I got to work on, but yeah, I might. Yeah, Jesus, this.
Yes, Pekka Kalyoni, I think is his surname. He's like incredibly known for being like this guy who does vatnik soups. It's like him basically exposing big people like Musk and all sorts of people who are, you know, with Russia technically, and also like smaller people as well. But he also like he did like lectures on Russian hybrid warfare and propaganda and how it works. He's like very knowledgeable person about it. I think you will have like a good time talking with him and maybe like asking him some questions because he's like actually like a fucking expert on that. So yeah, I think it'd be fun, or maybe not fun, maybe very infuriating, who knows. But yeah, speaking of your like recent arc in a very short way, like many people, you know, messaged me and said like you went super unhinged and I'm supposed to be like ashamed that I'm associated with you and all sorts of things. So I looked it up and I'm like, what did he do now? Like I thought you did something like that Palestinian tweet you did about like women in Palestine.
They're brown. But nobody gives a fuck in the U.S. They're brown people, and they're in the Middle East. They're far away. They're a different color. Nobody gives a fuck. I said so much unhinged shit about Palestinians, and nobody gave a fuck. And it was epic and funny and hilarious. And yeah, this one comment about a conservative, that's like crossing the Rubicon. You cannot say anything bad about conservatives in this country. Yeah. Holy
Which
shit.
unironically proved that nobody actually gives a fuck in the United States about like Israel and Palestine on a serious note. It's like, you know, but when it actually things they do care about, whoa, like they got so like cancel culture, all of that is talk. None of it is real. Which
yeah, have you seen, are you familiar with the, do you know the Libs of TikTok account?
I'm not sure.
It's an account.
That's the people on Twitter, right? They post like
they used to just post like TikToks of unhinged people, but now it's a doxing account. They'll find somebody if you see something bad about conservatives, they'll try to post the full dox of the person like openly on Twitter, and it's Elon Musk subscribes to this account, not follows. He pays them money, and they're just like they get people fired from their jobs, and they're open about it. They just said it. I think they just tweeted out something today or yesterday about like, yes, we will. Anybody that says this stuff, whatever, we are going after them, and it's a verified. They just like openly fucking. It's insane. It's unhinged.
I actually like think like Elon will probably like uplift literally anything that assists Russian propaganda and assists Trump. So yeah, anything besides that, he's not interested in controlling.
I'm also, bro, and I'm losing my mind. Okay, I talked to this lady 3 days ago on Twitter. The going hard on whatever. I'm going to argue with conservatives. It was that Kat Canada person. I just find out that this person, came from Moldova under the Soviet Union.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she does that. Yeah, and she also sounds like it. I immediately clocked her by the accent.
Yeah, we found documents with her signature, and people are saying like, "Oh, the slanted. This is Eastern European writing." I don't know. Now I'm starting to reconsider. You know that I debated like with Constantine moderating a lot. That dude has family in Ukraine and Russia. Also, I gave him a lot of benefit of the doubt, and I've spoken with him a lot. Lex Friedman, I think, is also from like Ukraine or Russia, right? Bro.
Oh, he's from Moscow. He was born in Russia, in Moscow. Yeah.
I don't know. And I just see he just posted a picture on fucking Twitter with Elon Musk. I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind.
Yes. There's like a whole sect of very kind of like rich Russian people who migrated to United States. They usually are like techno related, so like tech bros, I think you call them. So this segment, like, and they do this what Kissin does and what Lex does quite a bit, like this enlightened centrist bit, which is a bit. I mean, it is a bit. So yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of them. If you actually dig in, you can find quite a bit of that. And yeah, unfortunately, state of
Somebody's internet just died. Okay. Also, prediction, that Libs of TikTok account, I guarantee you there are multiple people that run that account too. It's not just her, whatever the one lady is.
They got me, I think.
Oh, well, you came back. Good job.
Yeah, they got me. So the Russian agents. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I don't know, you don't have much time, but I wanted to like point out things like that, obviously. But I think you can find them on your own. You're like hella smart and can figure it out without anyone. Plus, Pekka would be a much better person to talk with, or because he's, you know, he specializes in that shit. But yeah, it's mind blowing, honestly, that people didn't notice that. And the only thing I can really genuinely like ask you, because that's a thing I don't know, is can you tell me, are people like you know, when you speak with Russians, it's very clearly easily to see whether there are like actual like fascist malicious people, but with like MAGA Americans, it's kind of sometimes a bit hard. So whether it is like they are pretending to not be fascist, or
so
like
one of
doing
the,
like this whole...
I don't know if it's the same with the rest of the world, and I don't know historically how it works. I just don't have the background. But in the United States, we speak in so much like political jargon and like kind of loaded or masked language that you can be standing next to another person and you can both say the exact same things and mean something completely and totally fucking different. Like oh my God. Here's an example. When I went to Israel and I was talking to people who were like American transplants and stuff, and I was talking to people about like what they thought about the upcoming election, people would say like, this is a very, very important election for the United States of America. Like, democracy and freedom is on the line, and if America makes the wrong choice, they're going to wind up with a dictator. It's a 50-50 chance if after that they say they're voting, they either support Biden or Trump. Yeah, you have no idea. Yeah, they could say all these things. You have no idea what they're actually talking about. However, in the United States, there's also this like weird thing that's come up where because of, I don't know how or why, but you can't make these accusations against Trumples anymore because you just get called crazy. They've got a term for it. They call it TDS. They call it Trump derangement syndrome. If you make any accusations about stuff relating to Russia or anything about fascism, they just say like, oh, you're deranged. That's not true. Oh, you're deranged. That's not true. Yeah.
Because that's one actually true. That's the funny bit.
Yeah, it's
that's why. Also, I just sometimes it's just very confusing. I can clock obviously easily people like Tucker Carlson, people who are, I don't know, Hinkles, like Syrian girl, and all that shit. Obviously, it's blatant Russian propaganda. You know, it's not hard to figure out that they're paid. You know, there are many accounts like that, obviously, on Twitter as well, from leftists, from like radicals, from far right people, from like all over the place. But sometimes I just listen. The ones you talked with there was like this big like group of people, you were like shooting them down essentially, like a bunch of, like,
on Twitter,
and I was like, I can figure out, are they genuinely just that retarded and have been fooled by Russian propaganda, and they don't understand that they're just straight up like going to hell right now, that they are supporting a fascist that is with Russia on all accounts, that is very dangerous to United States, but to the world, like the entire world,
So,
kind of like, you know,
yeah. So
depends.
what happened?
Or are they actually pretending?
No. So
to
what
be like-
happens is the way that propaganda works is you don't have to set the entire like media narrative from start to finish. You just have to like you just have to give it a little push, and it'll kind of like move in that direction automatically, right? Let's say that a thread pops up about Joe Biden, and there are no comments on it yet. If I'm the first person to comment, I can dictate a lot of what direction that thread heads in, right? Let's say that the thread comes up. I could either post something about like, this is why I support Joe Biden because he fights against Trump and his desire to overthrow the judiciary. Or I could post like, Biden's words are empty and hollow here because he supports Nazis in Ukraine. If I post one of these two comments, even if it's propaganda and people don't agree, somebody that might have showed up in the thread and said something otherwise, well, now they're fighting with me in that comment chain. Even if they didn't want to originally talk about that, even if I'm saying something they disagree with, I've dictated the terms of the conversation. And I think with propaganda, I think there's so much in the US that I think that if I had to guess, my guess would be 90 to 95% of conservatives that support Trump don't have like an ideological attachment to Russia. They've just been so propagandized that they're like, yeah, I guess this kind of makes sense. And it kind of does to them. That's what I would think is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like Russian bots and accounts work as well.
Yes.
So they would like jump in on a narrative, and then they kind of like post some messages that will then, yeah, like you said, control the narrative and the conversation. So it's kind of like important. Also, I recently discovered, don't get like paranoid or anything, but it is true that a lot of the incredibly annoying comments on the Ukrainian posts that are "What about Gaza?" are Russian bots.
Sure. Yeah, that's not surprising at all. A lot of Russian bots also do a lot of race issues in the United States. The Mueller indictment showed this, that they'll make bots where they're like being black people. They've got black images and they're posting things like, I don't stand with Hillary ever since the crime bill. She's secretly racist.
Black people,
yeah.
Like, I was like, why the fuck are so many like black people are like so interested in fucking Ukraine?
Yeah, in Ukraine,
like,
Russia. And I'm like, that's an interesting twist. Okay.
Yeah, and then I figure out like they're bots. They're all like paid Russian, you know, like people who, or like they have also people in Africa who do that for money, like actual like black people, but in Africa, not in the United States. So there's like a lot of things like that. But this was what about Gaza thing? Like some retarded leftists actually do it without being paid.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, you do it for free. That's what I would say when they would talk about like for Hamas and for Russia too. Even like people will make defenses of them. It's like, bro, they don't even deny this. What the fuck are you talking? They don't even like Russia, at least from what I've seen. Unfortunately, I have followed Israel-Palestine more recently, and more than I have like the Russia-Ukraine stuff. But like, I don't think that Russia generally feels the need to explain itself to the world because they don't give a fuck, right? They just Russia does as Russia does. But then people in the West will make excuses for them, and I'll be like, you understand that like they're not even saying this, they're not even denying this. Like, why the fuck are you making denials that they're not even doing, right? People do this all the time for Hamas. They're like, Hamas doesn't use human shields. Hamas doesn't even deny using human shields. Why the fuck are you denying it? What you do this shit for free? You're not even getting paid, motherfucker. What's wrong with you? Yeah, holy shit.
It actually kind of like do it from the both sides as well, which is very like something I don't know, you know, like who Dugan is a little bit.
Yes.
People like him. Yeah, so people like that, they're actually like, kind of like created this idea that you need to sow division in the West by basically sponsoring and uplifting and multiplying.
You find divisive wedge issues and you amplify the fuck out of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for example, they did so similar thing during United Kingdom during Brexit debacle. They amplified the negative attitudes towards migrants, towards like to make people vote. For example, the Farage dude is literally their dude. He's like sponsored by Russia. He's pro-Russia. And he was one of the main people who were like very champions of Brexit. So they used the existing real negative feelings people had about the immigration problems in Europe. Like policies they didn't like, feelings they had. And the feelings were like genuine, whether justified or not, it's another question, right? But they would like amplify Pakistani gang rapes, you know, all that shit, like to make people like very upset. And now, like, you can clearly see that at least in the United Kingdom, people stopped buying that shit. They, like, voted for a completely different thing than Russian person.
Yeah, what the fuck happened that it feels like a whole bunch of, like, countries in Europe just recently, like, started moving left quite a bit. Like it happened in France.
Because
The UK did it.
because of that. Yeah. So Le Pen in France is also Russia's bitch, like clearly, like there's no denying that. There's actual like, you know, her campaign was actually sponsored partially. She went like to Moscow 10,000 times. So people like Orban obviously are Russian bitches, you know, it's pretty clear. But unfortunately, Orban is already there. And also, by the way, Orban's campaign was sponsored by Russia, and they effectively also amplified the negative attitudes in Hungary towards migrants. And the whole campaign of Orban was like, I will not let brown people in, you know, that sort of thing. And it worked. They voted for him, and now they have this fuck that is, you know, many people in Hungary are not happy, obviously, because of the corruption, because of the censorship, because of the, you know, all this stuff that Orban did that they don't like, obviously. But they voted for the guy, and especially because of those amplified negative feelings. And yeah, so they kind of figured out that this is a big issue in Europe, and it creates a lot of like, you know, strive around it. So you find an issue like that and then amplify it. In the United States, it's a different issue. Obviously, from Europe, it would be something else. But that's kind of how they operate usually. So you can find traces like that. With Hamas, it's also kind of like a little bit funny. Like there is no direct evidence that they sponsored Hamas like Iran does, at least, like no actual like solid, you know. But if you're going a little bit conspiratorial about it, it's a little bit funny that Lavrov visited Hamas just before they did the attack.
Sure.
Also the fact that they went to Moscow before this and after the attack and have been, you know, having talks with Putin and have been celebrated there, like, you know, like and also October 7th is Putin's birthday. Like, not to be like super conspiratorial about it, but it's all
wasn't October 7th. Wasn't it? Am I making this up, or is it? Was that Yom Kippur for them, or was it just on the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War? Might have been on October 7th.
Maybe, yeah, but yeah, it's like just memes. So at this
Sure,
point,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
I'm not like, I'm not saying like it's 100% because there's no like evidence, like solid evidence. But it is benefited them. It benefited them greatly to they even said so publicly, like on their state TV, that how great that now the attention is divided to Gaza and how convenient.
I don't know how familiar you
Yeah.
are with this.
Yeah.
You do know that do you know that Donald Trump has pardoned every single person he's worked with that was convicted for crimes?
Yes.
Do you know who?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Paul Manafort?
No, I don't know. Yeah,
Ooh,
sorry.
If you're ever curious, Paul Manafort, I think, was the head of his first election campaign. Paul Manafort was convicted for laundering, I think it was around $20 million in money. Do you know that he was a huge lobbyist and he worked with Yanukovych?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, he was convicted for that. This isn't like
I
a
didn't know
conspiracy or like maybe this is like a thing he got convicted for.
Lord.
Yeah, but Trump pardoned
Fucking
him.
hell.
And I'm so curious why did he pardon this guy? I mean, he pardoned everybody, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. Have you seen the bombs they signed for Trump's ear, Russians, to drop on us?
The what?
They signed, Russian people can pay to sign bombs,
Oh.
something on the bombs they drop on Ukraine. So, and many of them on the day of the attempted assassination was for Trump's ear.
Jeez. Jesus.
I mean, it's so unhinged. Like, imagine being killed by a bomb that says for Trump's ear.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a little bit upsetting. Slightly. Yeah, anyhow, point is that we're catching flies, okay? It was some Republican depressed dude, and we, for some reason, are getting, blamed, obviously, yeah. Although also Russia officially congratulated that Vance cunt, that Trump...
The guy that said that Trump was like Hitler, a few years ago, and is now his fucking VP.
The biggest sellout on the planet. They found him,
It's all of the Republicans. You
found
also,
him.
I don't know if you understand this, okay? Listen, all right? You guys think that you are anti-Russia, okay? Listen, Americans are, the older Americans, especially the military ones, are super anti-Russia. That has changed so quickly.
Used to be.
And it has changed. So my mom and dad, okay, were both in the Air Force. My dad worked on electronics for a plane called the SR-71. Are you familiar with it? Like, yeah, I think mainly does recon and stuff. And then my mom flew on, it was an I think it was an EC or a KC-135. It was the mission was called the Looking Glass mission, and I think the point of that plane was that plane I think was supposed to stay in the sky so that there was always a plane in the sky at all points in time, so that if nuclear war broke out, you'd still have your command and control or whatever, and be able to retaliate if needed, right? And it was looking for enemy nukes or missiles or whatever, right? My parents were so anti-Russia. I grew up hearing all the time about evil Putin, the Chi-Coms, how horrible, like everything that Russia did, everything they did for the Soviets. I don't even think my mom called it Russia. I didn't even know that was the name of the country. She always called it the Soviet Union. Even growing up, she always called it the Soviet Union. And my parents are like on the fence. It's like, I don't know if we should support Ukraine. So even my parents are, and they also forget like Ukraine, Russia. For domestic politics, they believe in every single conspiracy theory, every single one they believe in.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like even seeing like my parents, who I grew up hearing so much horrible negative shit about the commies and everything. It's in such a short amount of time. It's in such a short time period.
It worked. It definitely worked. In the United States, it seems it has worked quite well, unfortunately. Like, I was, like, super terrified of Orban's multiplying in, countries in European Union, essentially. But it seems like we're, like, a little bit out of the, out of the woods in that sense, because, Le Pen kind of, like, semi-lost. In UK, they also, like, super-duper lost, like, the people who Russia wanted to win. But in the United States... might just happen, actually. Like, I'm not like fully losing hope that in our boy Biden, but unfortunately, it seems like there is a big chance. And yeah, people have been saying like when he's got shot, not shot, but the glass piece like caught him, and all that happened. That it's definitely now that he won. What do you think about that? Like, is it like
the people always forget this. This is a big piece of advice. Maybe you've actually kind of learned this, of being a little bit of an online influencer. When people are fighting online.
Me?
Yeah, well, I'm saying like because you're like an online kind of person-ish, a little bit.
Yeah.
Whenever you're a streamer and you're dealing with something, and there's like a whole bunch of people are coming out against you, it always feels like the end of the world. And I always tell people, like, just wait like 3 days, keep streaming, keep posting content, wait like 3 days, wait like 7 days, like shit will change, okay? Like it'll be fine, you'll make it through this. Like the news cycles are very short. And it's the exact same thing for the US news cycle as well, right? Like a couple weeks ago, it seemed like we were only going to be talking about Biden's senility, and now we're talking about the Trump assassination thing. Who the fuck knows what it'll be in a few days? Maybe this plays really well into his base. Maybe it doesn't. Like, who knows? Like, it's so hard to predict in this environment. But
I am not like obviously American, so I trust my like friends Americans who were like panicking about it, that they know what the fuck they're talking about. But to me, it seems kind of like, will it convince people who didn't want to vote for him because he's a fucking fascist? No. Like people who already would vote for him regardless. Now they will think about epic fist bump he did in the air. It's. Sure, they'd be like a little bit more energized, maybe, but I just like I'm not sure like how exactly that changes things. About your like thing, the last thing I suppose is, am I like wrong or right on this? Like I have a feeling that you might have been just so like angry about this whole ordeal, because you know how it's not the same, but I maybe it's just similar feeling of sorts when you, as a Ukrainian, for example, when you speak publicly, you're supposed to be like on the news and with people, you're supposed to be like this poised, this very controlled, this very like not screaming about Russians, being this like calm. Being this like tolerant, not call them names, not call them orcs, and and it's sometimes you feel like why the fuck am I supposed to be like this I don't know, perfect victim or something, like this tolerant person, when they're like literally I just watched them like cutting off heads of our people and laugh.
Yeah,
so
no. It's this is the same issue that I have domestically, where you're held to the insane standards, and it'll be the people on the other side saying it. It'll be people on the other side saying like, well, why would you go down to their level? And I just said this morning. I was like, no, you're not allowed to say don't sink to their level. You need to be saying don't sink to my level, because I'm going to the level that you're on, okay? And you've decided that you want to fight there. So yeah, the idea that like people can act with utter impunity and to be the most degenerate, subhuman, cretin, treasonous fucks possible. And then if you even so much as like make a joke about something tragic on their side, it's like game over. It's like the end of the fucking world. And it's like you people were celebrating, it's
being held to like completely different standard. I felt like that's what
Yeah.
was your like. It's not the same, obviously. With us, it's a little bit more dramatic right now. The
Yeah.
difference, I suppose, but it is in sense, it's kind of the same when people like demand of me and of other people. I do try, okay, but people demand like this. Hold us to such like unfathomable standard. When why should I like talk about like do you know, like in the beginning when I only like started, when I talked with you first and then my Twitter started growing and all of that, I was actually unironically like entertaining the conversations about like Bandera, about like Azov, you know. I have been talking with people, trying to explain to them, and now like looking back at that, I think, why the fuck?
Yeah, why? Yeah,
Was
it's
I-
like when people
was I even
when all of the centrist talking points come out and they're like, well, what about like pushing it to World War III, and what about like all the Ukrainian citizens dying? And it's like, Russia invaded. It's their war. Why don't you talk to them about it? Why is this Ukraine's problem? The other side invaded. You know that, right? You do understand that, like, it's an invasion into the other country, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But then if you flip the lens over, and then you start looking at Israel Palestine, right? And it's like, why is Israel invading? Why is Israel doing this? We have told Israel is solely responsible. Not only is Israel solely responsible, okay? Not only is Israel solely responsible, October 7th might have been a justified act of resistance. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, you're not even allowed to strike into the country. Sorry, you can't even shoot missiles into Russia. They have to set their bases up literally right on the outside of your fucking country while they have like a fucking tent for jerking off, okay? While they're shooting shit that's flying into fucking like hospitals and apartment complexes. And it's like, that would be an escalation and that would cause World War III. It's like, what about the invading fucking superpower? Like, do they have no... Yeah. I don't know, bro. Oh,
I feel like that's what you're dealing with, but in like a little bit of the different, obviously, like, you know, climate and country and everything. But I so relate like to the frustration. I understand that you went a little bit, you know, strong, okay, but I understand like where it comes from, because this feeling is so frustrating, and you have to like, and you, I believe, had to deal with it for quite some time, because you were on like your talking with right wingers, like talking with like bigger people, you know, like Petersons and people like that, right?
Fuck all that shit. Yeah.
You think?
Yes, yeah, I burned all those bridges. I don't even know if I just did a talk with Michael Knowles. I bet the Daily Wire won't even post the video. Yeah. Now I publicly say it as much. I think I regret. I don't want people to see me go on these shows and come away with this bad impression that I am like paying equal tribute to both sides just because I come off as reasonable. I think that these people deserve to be bullied and screamed at and shouted at and argued against, and like they need to be put in their place, like intellectually. Like not it can't be this like, oh, okay, yeah. So Jordan Peterson, so you think that the 20% excess deaths in Europe are all caused by mRNA vaccines? Okay, yeah. I mean, like I get that point of view, and
I saw that.
And oh yeah, you think that climate change is just a George Soros plot by, you know, the International Monetary Fund? Like, yeah. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah. And like, yeah, Russia's bad, but like, were there bioweapons labs in Ukraine with genes, with genetically modified diseases that were targeting Russians? Okay, that's an opinion that is, yeah, you can have that. I can see that. Like, let's debate both sides of this. Like, this is a totally sane opinion to be fucking defending. Like, yeah, oh my God.
The only question though, do you think you like lost something significant there? Because talking, there has to be like some sort of like big benefit to talking with like big people like that, I suppose.
The question is what August explained it this way, and I think it's a good analogy, is I had very long legs but very short arms. So I could get to a lot of places. Yeah, I could get to a lot of places in media and talk to a ton of people, but I'm not like pulling very many in a significant direction. And if anything, I'm just boosting their confidence into like the absurdly stupid shit that they believe. So I don't know. I don't want to operate that. I just don't have a desire to operate that way anymore. I don't like the fact that right now Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Candace Owens going to say, oh, well, I had a conversation with Destiny. It was like pretty decent. That shouldn't be the case. They should have come away from that conversation thinking I'm insane and unhinged, and I should have clips of me like deriding them for Ben Shapiro saying like, oh yeah, I do grade Trump on a curve, and the fact that he tried to overthrow the government is okay because I think the guardrails will hold next time. We should have had a 2-hour debate, about just that answer. The whole conversation should have been about that.
I was so shocked. Like Ben, I mean, I'm not like, you know, Ben Shapiro fanboy or anything, but he did seem to me like a more of a, I don't know, like conservative, like an actual like sort of like traditional conservative person, not like a, you know, like what MAGA, whatever the fuck that is. So I was so shocked that he was so like, he showed such a disregard and such a lack of like fear of losing like democracy and losing your institutions working properly, and it was like such a weird moment. Like but you can't really like. The only thing I'm thinking, like, people said to me, like, oh, he lost like the outreach, he lost like the ability to, I guess you could say, like, persuade people or like convert them. And I was like, maybe, but all of those people like now are like shitting on you and saying you're like a deranged psychopath because you said that dude, or you made fun of that person who died. So is there really a way to like convert them into anything if they're just walking away from that conversation being like, oh, that was so reasonable, that's
and I've complained about this for months. That's my biggest complaint, is that all the comment sections are saying that, like, oh, what a great conversation because these two guys calmly spoke to each other. It's like, okay, well, are we going to talk about the substance at all or no? And it's like, yeah.
Oh, by the way, about that, do you know like what fun thing I've noticed? There is like this comment like that in like a YouTube shorts that I watch that has nothing to do with politics. And there is like this bot saying on all of them, that was a reasonable conversation. I'm so glad we politely disagreed and all of that. So I actually think sometimes maybe that's also bots partially because the video is like about cute cats or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
I don't even
nothing
know.
to do with with conversation and disagreement. And then somewhere there, I'm looking for comments, and then the comments are like, "That's such a polite discussion," and I'm like, "What the fuck? There was no discussion." And then you look like at this, and it's like a bot as well. Yeah, but with Gaza thing, I actually like kind of like, I'm not like saying leftoids are not fucktards, obviously they are, but a lot of those comments are actually unironically Russian bots, especially the ones that are very repetitive and are like, what about Gaza? Or that one that pisses off all Ukrainians when they see it is it's like 0.01% from what Gaza is going through, things like that. So a Ukrainian would post something like their like entire, their fucking life has been destroyed, and then the comments will be this. And I was also getting very annoyed, unironically. But then I kind of like started thinking like I'm literally getting like my, angry because of the mostly bots and like some retards.
Yeah,
some people do it intentionally. There's this dude Chase something. I forgot. Chase something on Twitter. He like posts this shit all the time. He's a Trumpist. But he's like post the Gaza thing as well, like anti-Israel thing. And he would post like a picture of Gaza and then a picture of Kyiv. I saw so much of it from leftist like accounts and right-wing accounts. And he would say like, if Russia actually bombed Ukra-Nazis, like Israel does Gaza, Kyiv would look like this. Sure. I think I don't need to explain to you why this is like absolutely idiotic thing, and people will start posting like, look at how Mariupol looks, look like how Bakhmut looks,
or Aleppo
like
in Syria when Russia was helping. Or Grozny
Grozny is the best comparison actually, because it's also like small. It's the size of Gaza actually, and also by the way Muslims, and also by the way inside, so not a separate country like like Palestine as well. So it's a very good actually comparison. But point is that this person, like, so what I look at him and I think like this person must be like paid by Russia. But unfortunately, people who do comment, some of them are bots that amplify the message, right? But some of them are actually people that are leftoids that bought in.
Yeah, because they legitimately get bought in.
Yeah, and same with the rightoids, I think. Like, some of them are obviously, like, Tucker Carlson types, and some of them are, for example, Dave Rubin, I think, is his name. Like, do you think he's, like, actually retarded? Or is he, like, a paid dude?
I don't know for any of these people anymore. I don't make a comment on it. I have no fucking idea. I truly don't know.
I also don't know. That's
I don't know. My assumption would be that, like, people make too much money in this space to be paid off by Russia. But now I don't know like how much of their audience is even real, especially as I've been diving into all this bot shit. Like these people might make way less money than I actually thought, in which case, like if Dave Rubin only makes, 250,000 USD a year, you could easily buy him off. I don't know how much money he makes. I'm not sure actually.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if
the guy like that.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if maybe there should be like people in media should publish their taxes. If that's like a thing people should have to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just for some people I can tell, with some people it's really hard. For example, like, is he just like repeating the talking points he, swallowed? or is he actually doing the propaganda bit? Like, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day when you think about it, because the effect is the same.
Well,
so
I mean, like, I agree with you that the effect is the same, so it doesn't matter in that sense. But I think it does matter if these people are getting direct fucking payments or like are getting money from it. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like, it's the same effect, even if they're just useful idiots, it's still the same effect. Yeah.
Yes, I meant like mostly not for you. It matters obviously in the United States, but for me, for example, in Ukraine, it doesn't really. So whatever you do, like the messaging is a useful idiot, which I think Breaking Points is. Very good example of that. Or are you doing it as a paid person? So, for example, like this Crystal Ball
and Kyle Kalinske repeat every single dog shit Russian talking point. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they. I have no idea if they're paid or not. I truly don't know.
I also don't know. Yeah, that's why I asked you. I thought maybe you can explain, because with the Crystal Ball thing, I watched Dylan Burns reacting to their video about the Crimea beach. Like, for example, it's just, how can you explain this like rationally, that those people didn't talk about literally anything Russia does? Like, they didn't talk about Russia bombing a cancer hospital for children with a high precision missile. Even I can say it's there, like, sometimes I say I don't know exactly. Maybe it's like they, their weapons are shit. They're not precise. Sometimes I say, like objectively, it's hard to tell whether that was a target or that just a fuck up. This was highly precise. They have like 2 missiles that are precise, and this was the one.
Yeah, I heard that for the hospital stuff after. Yeah, because initially I assumed I don't think they would just hit a hospital. That seems insane. But people were saying that the 2 missiles used were like, these were targeted missiles. It wasn't just like glide bombs or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, actual bold-ass children with cancer, okay? So I don't know how low, what is the low, with these people? But they didn't say a word about it. And then they talked about, for entire, like, I don't know, like 40-minute segment or something like that, about us attacking Crimea bitch with the bitch, not bitch as like, it's hard for me to say it differently than that.
Right?
Beach. Yeah, okay. So anyhow, never mind. You know what I mean, okay?
Yeah.
So they attacked that, and they said, look, Ukraine is doing war crimes with our weapons.
Yeah.
And in the video they show, you can see a fucking missile launcher there.
Oh,
like,
wait,
right
is this the one
there.
where there was some of the, it was some of the exploded remains of like a missile fell somewhere, and people were trying to make the claim that Ukraine was targeting like civilians on a beach in Crimea?
Yes.
I remember this, yeah.
All
I remember
leftoids
this, yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah.
Rightoids talked about it. And the Breaking Points is
like
just
Ukraine
the one
just
I
has
saw.
so much money and extra shit. They're just like, let's just fucking bomb some fucking civilians. Like, why the fuck not? Like, yeah. Jesus, yeah.
And you can see on the video they watching. You can see what happened, that the missile was trying to hit this like launcher, the missile launcher Russian that was installed there, and it backfired. So like droplets of it, they fell into the water and on the like beach partially as well. So it's like the like a cluster sort of like thing essentially is what happened. And you can see the actual, and you know what is the war crime on that video? The fact that people in Crimea, in occupied fucking like war zone thing, were allowed to be on a beach under this missile launcher. That's the war crime that Russians did. They shouldn't be there. You will not be allowed in Ukraine as a civilian without a special sort of like card that allows you to go there. If you're a journalist maybe, or a volunteer maybe, just a regular civilian is not allowed near military equipment.
Yeah. And it's literally, I mean, like, the beach that was hit was Sevastopol, right? Like, the whole reason why Russia wants Crimea, or one of the huge reasons, is because of the military base in Sevastopol. This is an active,
They shoot from Crimea. They shoot into Odessa quite a lot, into Kherson. So, like, from there, they shoot at our, our cities that are ours right now. So, obviously, that will be, but so many people repeated that shit, and you look at them and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I wish you were fucking paid, honestly, because.
Yeah, you would hope so. Like, I hope you're like, at least I get it. Yeah, you're not this stupid for free, right? Yeah.
that's the worst part, because useful idiots are just as bad in terms of like in terms of amplifying this sort of messaging, and they then harped on it as well. They were like, look at what Ukraine does with our money, like we should be spending it, I don't know, on homeless people or some shit, what usually they say, you know. And it's just very, it's rough. So I understand why you so, you know, why you went off. Also, I don't think you condone like am I wrong? Like, I don't think you ever said like, yeah, go assassinate. Like,
no, you shouldn't. Like, we shouldn't be killing people, and it's not good if people are dying, and people shouldn't be getting killed like for political stuff in the United States. Like, I don't think any of it should happen, but like, you can't ask for like I don't want any like Russian soldier or Ukrainian soldier dying either. Like, even like, I don't think it's necessarily the soldiers themselves choosing the conflict, but I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, it's war. If a Russian soldier is blown up, like, I'm not gonna.
Believe me, they do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
many of them are there for money. So let's not like pretend that they're just innocent little angels. When they rape people and torture them, they do it because they want to.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just So that's one thing. But
all the media coverage. Did you see all the tweets? All of the center dipshits that were all talking about this little boy that was on camera. I think there were two different things. One is there was this claim that Israel, the IDF, trains dogs to rape people. And then the second claim was the second claim was a little boy saying U.S. Special Forces landed in like Khan Yunis or like in some Gazan city and like was burning cigarette ashes, like putting out cigarettes in this kid's face. And it was U.S. Special Forces. It was like the most unhinged shit ever. And Brianna Joy Gray and people were like retweeting. It's like, why is no one talking about this? Or what's going on here? Like, what's happening here? And it's like, what about like the Ukrainian prisoners that just came out of Russian prisons looking like they weigh like 60 pounds? Like, did anybody give a fuck at all about any of this? Like, you understand, I'm sure you do, and this is not to be too graphic or whatever, but like people make these claims about like, oh my God, like Israel is doing this horrible shit to Palestinians. Okay, where? Show evidence. Where? There are videos of, and people shouldn't look at that, but there are videos of like prisoners being raped in Russian prisons. Like, there are videos of this that are on the internet. It's not controversial.
It's a big problem,
like, you can see this. You can go, you can see the videos of people being raped with broomsticks and stuff. It's insane. But yeah, nobody cares.
I mean, they also do it to their own like people, like not just Ukrainians, so it's not like, that's for example in Wagner there have been like sledgehammering their own like people who have been conscripted there and people who served there as well. So it's like, look, I'm not even saying like it's just specifically, but just imagine what these people actually do when they have the absolute power over someone. So that's just what happens in occupied areas, unfortunately. And I'm furious. I'm furious at this point because nobody is talking about our soldiers coming back as fucking concentration camps, like victims, like most of them return with burns, with mutilation of genitals, extremely beaten, like bones crushed. I interviewed multiple people. I'm working right now on subtitles on that, who have, who describe in all the detail how they got the injuries they got. And it's just, it's never mind that they come back as skeletons.
Yeah,
they come back starved. Like it's just, and nobody's talking about it. Like UN doesn't do shit.
No one's talking about it. But for 8 months, we've heard about how 500,000 Palestinians are about to starve to death.
Yes. That I was not commenting on that at all. I was just kind of like, I didn't want to.
For like 8, 9, 10 months, we've heard that the entire population is on the verge of starvation. How long can one man starve before he dies of starvation? Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, a person can hold up on very poor nutrition for a long time, but he should look like that, like
that's people get really mad, but I would do that. I would Google over and over again, you've got the videos and you've got the pictures, and it sounds heartless and cold and cruel, and I'm sorry, and I got a lot of people, but like you look at the videos of like the Palestinian children and the people like holding out their hands for food, and I'm like, this is tragic and it's sad, and like I hope humanitarian aid continues together, but like these children, I'm sorry if I sound unhinged, these children do not look like they're starving, right? You can Google, and the easiest comparison is just to Google like starving Yemen children. This isn't even remotely the same, okay? You're not even close. I don't see a single emaciated person in this entire picture. And they're like, and again, I'm not saying that would be good and we want that or whatever, but like they've been starving to death for 10 months. Why do all of these people look like they have like, like, I don't want to say like they don't have designer clothes, but these people are all dressed really well, like in multiple layers. Like none of them look like they're starving to death. Like they all seem like reasonably healthy. Like what the fuck? Like I don't understand. And there's no coverage on the Ukrainian Russian stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes. I don't know, like you probably like see things like that. I will send you like a second. But it's just I asked people actually, unironically, do you see coverage of this like anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
And most people told me that they don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just yeah. Look at this shit. Like I have sent you. This is how they all look. You like barely can find anyone.
Yeah,
who
I've
doesn't
seen.
look like that.
Yeah, and there are videos. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've seen it. You've seen more than I have. I'm sure. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing. Like this like bitch, like Brianna.
Brianna Joy Gray is
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
either paid or she's just like a trade. She's just treasonous for free. I don't know, but yeah, she is an absolute
I
like
don't know, like,
fucking enemy of the state, horrible, disgusting fucking human being. Yes.
Yeah, she would be like, oh, like yeah, like Israeli, you know, rape dogs doing things. Okay,
Yeah.
she would, you know, and then she laughed at the man who brought up to her, like rolled her eyes and laughed at the man who was like talking about Ukrainian children being kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Which is
yeah,
the
I remember.
number
Yeah.
Russia themselves.
Yeah, and she did the same. She did the same, I think, to I think she did the same to an Israeli woman who was talking about hostages being held.
Oh,
She like
yeah,
laughed.
His sister, I think, was abducted.
It's
right?
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yes, well, yes. And unfortunately, like, I really, like, you know, I see it worked. And it worked on very many people, and it is pretty sad to see, not to say dangerous, obviously. Like, everyone is quite worried what will happen in November, because I don't know, like, we're doing... the only good thing is Russia is incredibly good at hybrid warfare, at propaganda, and buying people off, and buying politicians off, and buying media, and, you know, controlling the narrative. They're not as good on the front, okay? So
yeah, but unfortunately, like that,
yeah.
but that doesn't matter. I don't think if the hybrid warfare is successful enough, then the results will trickle down to the battlefield, right? Like, how much different would your war have gone if on day one it was like, oh, okay, well, Russia has decided to invade Ukraine. Obviously, this is unacceptable. Now the entire world is going to equip and arm Ukraine with basically any weapon that we can ever possibly train them to use, and obviously, you have full clearance to strike wherever the fuck you want in Russia. Not 10 miles, not 50 miles or whatever. But if you want to fucking bomb Moscow, I mean, fuck it. They're invading you. Why not? Yeah. Meanwhile, you've got like supposedly neutral countries like Belarus and shit are hosting attacks into your country, and tanks are marching in for the fucking borders. Like, the fuck? This is unhinged.
Yes.
Yeah. It would be totally different. But the only reason why, it's not a financial reason, right? It's not a military reason. There's not a military argument to not supply Ukraine with weapons. It's not a financial reason not to. It's only a political reason in the United States. That's it.
Yes, the political.
It's only political.
And I only wanted to say that you're right, but I just wanted to say that it's the only reason why we're still standing is what I meant. So they, for example, tried to use the delay in aid. They facilitated. That happened because of the Gaza. That happened because of the Mike Johnson and all the people like that. You know, the Republicans, obviously, in the Senate. So the aid was delayed, I believe, in like more than half a year. So like 7 or 8 months, something like that. And during that period, Russia escalated hardcore. They produced insane amount of glide bombs that they are now like peppering all over the front and on my city for months and everything, you know. And they also tried to take Kharkiv region again. So they are using all of that. So they're trying to, you know, they know that we can't, for example, as soon as we were allowed to hit missiles with our missiles, their missile launchers close to Kharkiv region, they moved all of them further away, knowing that we are not allowed to strike them there. So they
is there a limit right now for how far you can shoot missiles into Russia? Is there still a limit? There is, right?
Yes. And America said, you know, Biden and his administration said that they're not going to lift it. So I'm not exactly sure. Maybe they will change their mind after, I don't know, 1,000 more people die. I don't know. Like we are now left with basically no electricity in this region because they destroyed power stations. So the winter is going to be like absolutely horrendous, worse than it was in 22. And the glide bombs are a big problem because they just pepper them endlessly. Like recently when I was near the front, it was like a week, something like a week ago, and it's relentless. They just launch planes endlessly, glide bombs, all over the fucking place, like all over the front. Our dudes, they can't even move, and we can't do anything to stop this at all. It's very. We can only attack them close to our own border. So that was allowed. Like, for example, Belgorod, we bombed quite a lot of, missile launchers there, which is very close to Kharkiv. It's like 1 hour, hour and a half drive, essentially. So it's like, quite close. So that we were allowed. But yeah, also there was like the summit where United Kingdom said we can use their shadow something. It's long range missiles that we have that are British and French made. So they said, sure, we will allow you to use them further into Russia. And guess what? United States said no, fuck that, and didn't allow it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Poland also. Yeah. Poland did the initiative actually recently, which we were happy about. This was like one of the few good news in days, that they will strike down Russian missiles that are close to their border. So when they bomb Western Ukraine, which is not as often, obviously, but it sometimes still happens, especially like power stations, things like that. So some of them are so close that they're basically on the Polish border, the missiles Russians sent.
Yeah, fuck it. They should. Turkey shot down Russian planes when Russia was flying sorties over over Turkish airspace to get to Syria.
Not allowed. They wanted to. NATO said no.
Wait, who went for Poland?
Poland, yeah, Poland.
Oh no, yeah, I understand for Poland, but I'm just telling you that in 2014, 2015, Turkey shot down, or they either shot out or they shot down 2 Russian planes that were flying. It was either in Turkish airspace or close to it. Yeah, because Turkey doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, they don't give a fuck. Yeah, it should be the same. Fuck it. Yeah, 100%. It for Poland too.
Please tell me though. So they were like, if Poland will do this, they will drag NATO into war. They need to have like the permission from all the NATO countries. So why didn't Turkey need a permission from all the NATO?
Turkey doesn't give
Isn't
a fuck.
it in NATO? Yeah, that's pretty fucking. It has been, testing my patience, and testing my whatever. Testing everything, because I in 22 I was like an actually like unhinged believer in the West, I suppose. You could say. I really thought that this would be different. I thought that this time, in history, we are not going to be backstabber allies. I don't know if you know much about Ukrainian history, but it's like a bit of a meme that we're getting like pretty much backstab every time. So I was thinking like maybe people would actually like help us this time around, and now I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure, and yeah. I'm just sometimes thinking about how much destruction and death could have been prevented, and if the help was as it should have been,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just very.
And it's sad too because like I have limited international understanding for this. Like I haven't like dug deeply, but my feeling is that none of this is a NATO problem or a NATO anything. This is just strictly, it is a U.S. problem and a U.S. leadership problem right now, or not leadership, but a population problem. That like if the United States was aligned on like, oh well, it's 2022, you can't have countries fucking invading other countries. That's pretty unhinged. So we're going to do every single thing that's reasonable to try and stop this. That would just be a decision, and fuck whatever the fuck Europe thinks. They would absolutely go along with the United States if U.S. leadership and pressure was consistent enough, right? But because we're so divided at home, like, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and it may get significantly worse because with Biden, I know you're like a Biden fan, and I understand why. Obviously, if you pick between Trump and Biden, pick Biden if he's dead. That's understandable. But for us, like specifically for us, not for the world and for the United States, it's like choosing between like the like handicapped, status quo, so to speak, with Biden, like being the hands tied behind our backs, not allowed to do anything.
I would say
Trump,
if I had to guess, just based on, because Biden wrote a really good article on this. It might have been during his election season. It might have been in 2020. I think that I don't know who I would compare him to, but I think that Biden would probably have one of the strongest anti-Russia, supporting Ukraine takes. But I think that Biden is just restricted by politics. His political maneuverability is very, very, very low.
He needs to. I understand. He needs to vote, and people like even like a lot of people on the left are like super isolationist. Super like.
Well, it's not as big on the left, but it's working with Republicans in Congress is a fucking nightmare right now, right? Like a lot of aid to Ukraine was held up based on like border issue with Russia or with Mexico. It's like unhinged.
Yeah. I tried to explain that one to my soldier buddies.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
They were like a little bit like, what the fuck? They just didn't really understand. And yeah, some of them won't understand anything because they're dead now. So yeah, it's pretty rough. And of course, like when it comes to picking between the two, it's pretty obvious what you should do. But like, yeah, that Vance dude, fuck. I watched some of his videos he talked about Ukraine quite a bit.
Yeah,
so
he's a standard populist, right-wing, fascist, brain rot dipshit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, with horrible makeup too. Fuck that guy.
All right, well, have fun, be careful, good luck.
Yeah.
Stay safe, okay?
Oh, one thing though, before I go, I wanted to do shameless self-promotion. I'm doing a fundraiser right now on the car for the Kharkiv dudes. So if anyone wants to help out, we're like raised quite a bit now, especially DGG as always, obviously, but there is still quite a long way to go. So if anyone wants to help out, because those fucking glide bombs are killing all of our cars. So it has been rough. So if anyone wants to help out, have you seen the DGG thing? I posted it on Reddit, but have you seen it, Mr. Bennell?
I think I watched it, but yeah, I was in bed on my phone. I think I saw it, a few days ago.
Oh, gratitude letter with DGG on it.
Yeah.
Isn't that sweet? I loved it, and the dudes loved it. It seems. Well, anyhow, yeah. Thank you for that was a little bit pleasant.
Yeah.
To
Good luck.
vent a little bit.
Yeah. Good
Bye
luck.
bye.
Stay safe. Be
Stay
careful.
sane.
Bye.
Yeah, and you. Bye.
Fuck. Let me use the restroom real quick. Sorry. Oh, you can finish watching about this conspiracy, whatever the fuck this is. One sec.
When the Falun Gong is talked about in America or Canada or Europe or wherever, you are very...
I'm so paranoid. Now I am losing my mind. I've seen bots everywhere. Destiny has lost the plot. He's so emotional about people not agreeing with his Jan 6th take that he's not thinking clearly anymore. His emotions are clouding his judgment. Do you think that's a real person? I can't tell anymore for anything. I can't tell. I'm losing it. When that Patriot guy admitted... Did that conversation get posted to my YouTube? Conservatives have had it in justice of the FBI. You want one man at the head of the executive. You are king. You clearly didn't trust
That's not
that.
For both of them. I think can improve the economy at this point. The U.S. is a very advanced machine. There's a lot of policies and money invested. They put a lot of money.
Like, who is this guy? This guy was not even an influencer? Like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't even know who I'm debating right now. He's not a YouTuber or anything, but he knows like all these talking points and everything else, and like he clearly knows more than an average citizen, right? Like,
in a lot of green tech and cut corners elsewhere, and this is something.
I think he had 30K followers on Twitter. Yeah, but if he's debating like this, he doesn't do video content anywhere. That seems kind of crazy.
I think it's going to be complicated. I think if Trump or Biden wins, I think that next term geopolitically is really going to be hard for both of them.
Just as
America is not in a great position geopolitically, economically.
Why'd you have that debate? Because the not Elon guy decided to drag him in. Okay, this line of questioning is insane. I didn't think it would be this easy to set this up. I didn't think he would go along with me on everything. But just as a bow on all of this, I guess. I guess what I want people to understand when they hear people say things with a nice tone of voice and they don't think about the content of what's being said. So you just said that you didn't trust the judiciary to make. Oh wait, fuck, hold on, no, it's before this. This is set up. You support them if they, let's say that they launched some court cases
pattern, I don't know, I wouldn't,
or resist the certification of the vote, would you some way, or if of what
well just write it down. I don't write anything down.
Trust me, I know, trust me. Yeah, when you lie about shit all the time, you don't have to write anything down. Why did not Elon drag this guy in particular? I don't know. The shit you said, yeah. Tell me, in the next election, let's say that it comes out that Democrats somehow end up winning, would you support it if Donald Trump and I guess Vance were to find some way, or if Senate Republicans were to find some way to delay the certification of the vote or resist the certification of the vote, would you support that?
That's a very fact-intensive pattern. I don't know. I wouldn't like to speculate at this point.
Okay. So if let's say that they launched some court cases and let's say that they all failed up to the certification of the vote, would you support them if they still felt like they had questions about the vote? They feel like they had questions that it wasn't legitimate. Would you support them? So this is the judiciary. All the courts have been exhausted. Okay. Let's say the courts were exhausted.
trying to delay the certification of the
I think
election?
it depends. Yeah, I do. If voting stops in the middle of the night and they tell poll workers to go home and vote dumps start over the next couple of weeks and Biden makes up the deficit, yeah, I'd have an issue with it. And I'd hope unlike 2020. Listen, judges and attorneys are normal people, right? They have their own fears, their own biases, etc.
Trump's not a normal person, though.
So this is a hot potato case that really nobody wanted to touch in 2020.
And you think all the judges in 2020 just didn't want to deal with it? Even the Trump appointees, all of them said, "No, sorry, too hot for us."
Correct. I do think so because I think there would have been violence on either side. I think
people keep saying this is the guy who challenged me to a duel. I don't think that's the case. I don't know why everybody's repeating this. That was a guy with, I think, with 130,000 followers on Twitter. I don't think this is the same guy.
Easily, if Trump had won on some of these merits, you would have seen Antifa and BLM burning down the country. And we've actually seen some documentation from NGOs that basically said the same.
And you think that
it wasn't Podesta's plan. You remember that?
Sure. And you think that
so the judiciary is out. We can't trust them because they're just people. They have their own interests.
You couldn't trust Congress to figure out if the vote was certified correctly or not? We couldn't just trust them to just certify the vote?
No, I'm not a big fan of government. I think
so we don't trust Congress. That's the legislative branch, right? So we've already eliminated two. So I can already say, at this point, I could have already said, like, oh, okay, so you only trust the executive branch of government. You literally want like just one branch of government to be able to supersede all of them if they want to control power, right? However, okay, it wasn't just that too, because I don't even think he wants just the executive branch. I think he wants just one man. And that's why I asked the next question about the DOJ to hone in on the executive branch too, right?
They do a lot of things poorly. That's why I like Trump and Schedule F. I think we need to cut down the bureaucracy.
And
I don't think the EPA should be charging farmers for how much their cows fart or doing other asinine bullshit. Listen, to my knowledge,
courts aren't government? No, not really. Not. Don't worry about it.
Dropping bombs.
Real quick. Could we trust? We don't need to talk about
cause a lot of pollution.
And you don't trust William Barr.
How come that pollution doesn't count?
You don't trust William Barr.
All right, one after another. Okay, we've gone to bombs. Let's go to Destiny real quick.
Sure. Just like two more final questions, then I'm done. You don't trust Barr? You don't trust what Bill Barr was saying, that he didn't see evidence of voter fraud based on what the FBI said?
So I implicate both the DOJ and the FBI here, right? I think the FBI exists under the DOJ, right? Am I making that up? I'm pretty sure. I think they do.
No, because U.S. attorneys come out and said Barr gave a stand-down order. Moreover, I never liked Barr. I thought it was weird his father hired Jeffrey Epstein in New York City to be a school teacher at that academy and prep school. I think Bill Barr has a lot of issues. Bill Barr is a...
And then we have no here, right? So like this is walking somebody from start to finish to, okay, you just want, you want an emperor, you want a king. That's what he's saying. He said he didn't trust any of the courts. He definitely doesn't trust Congress. He called Congress the government. And he doesn't trust other parts of the executive branch to function correctly. Even when we're talking about Trump's own appointees. So he just wants Donald Trump doing it. He wants one man, right? He wants a king.
W man. Okay. He's an HW man. He's an old Bush neocon. And you know the Bush family. I mean, they're CIA bred.
He's Trump's appointee, my dude. Like...
So no, I don't like Bill Barr. You might.
Just curious, what is your? Are you like I'm not asking this. I'm genuinely curious. Are you like a content creator or pundit, or what do you do? Or are you just like
No, I just post news. I'm probably done after this election.
Just posting. Okay.
Either way it goes. Listen, I don't even think maybe Trump can improve the economy at this point. The U.S. is a very advanced machine. There's a lot of policies and money invested. They put a lot of money in a lot of green tech and cut corners elsewhere. And this is something that I think is going to be complicated. I think if Trump or Biden wins, I think that next term is really going to be hard for both of them. I think America is not in a...
Courts are absolutely by definition government. Kind of. It just depends on what you're talking about. It just depends on the context of what you're talking about. But kind of. But
great position geopolitically, economically.
Just as a bow on all of this, I guess. I guess what I want people to understand when they hear people say things with a nice tone of voice and they don't think about the content of what's being said. So you just said that you didn't trust the judiciary to make any decisions about the election. You clearly didn't trust.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
No, that's exactly what you said.
You said that you didn't trust them because they thought that the temperature was too high and that all of them rejected the cases for political reasons.
Yep.
That's what you said.
That's what he said.
No, that's not.
That is exactly what he said. We can go back and listen to it. He said they thought BLM would burn the country down.
At this point, I don't care for clarification. They can rewind if they want to listen to it. But you said that they rejected those cases for political reasons. So you don't trust the judiciary.
We can go back and listen. I just said we can rewind. We can go back and rewind. Okay, we're at 337.
So you like a...
He's an HW. The EPA should be...
Judges, all the judges...
So go home.
To delay the certification of the
election?
election?
It depends. Yeah, I do. If voting stops in the middle of the night and they tell poll workers to go home and vote dumps start over the next couple of weeks and Biden makes up the deficit, yeah, I'd have an issue with it. And I'd hope unlike 2020. Listen, judges and attorneys are normal people, right? They have their own fears, their own biases, etc. So this is a hot potato case.
They have their own fears and their own biases, and this is a hot potato case.
Really, nobody wanted to touch in 2020.
And nobody wanted to touch it in 2020 for political reasons.
Right, all the judges in 2020 just didn't want to deal with it. Even the Trump appointees, all of them said, "No, sorry."
All of them didn't want to deal with it. Even the Trump appointees, all of them didn't want to deal with it. Hot for us.
Correct.
Correct. He says yes. Correct. So we did rewind it. We did listen. He's just lying, right?
I do think so because I think there would have been violence on either side.
Yep, there would have been violence on either side. So that's a political reason because the temperature's high.
I think as easily if Trump had won on some of these merits, you would have seen Antifa and BLM burning down the country. And we've actually seen some
We would have seen BLM and Antifa, right? So that's exactly what he said, right? So going back forward to where he just denies saying what he literally just very clearly said.
Judiciary. You don't trust Congress. You said you don't really trust governments. You don't trust Congress to make the right decisions.
Yep.
And you don't even trust the DOJ to make the correct decisions. What you want, what you're asking for, and Adrian, what I asserted earlier, was that Republicans want to anoint a king. What you're asking for is a king, a dictator. You don't trust any of the two branches of government, and you don't even trust the Department of Justice or the FBI. You want one man at the head of the executive. You are king/dictator who's now been granted criminal immunity from the Supreme Court to make all of the decisions. Not you, I'm talking about Prodigal. I'm saying that that's what you want. You want an emperor, and you just spelled it out perfectly.
No, that's not what I did. I mean, you're a lefty. There's a lot of stuff to left in the
lefty, and he said that's not what I did. Fuck, this should be a short. This is the perfect encapsulation. This is like the perfect encapsulation of the conservative mindset for why they want a dictator. Because most conservatives, I think you can take them down that thought process, and most will agree. No, I don't trust the courts. They're all biased against Trump. Of course, I don't trust Congress. Jesus Christ. Obviously, Congress is corrupt. No, I don't trust like the DOJ or the FBI or anything like that. Absolutely not. Right? Yeah. Okay. You want a dictator. You want a king. That's all you're looking for.
The right can work on. The too big to fail banks are even bigger. There's been massive consolidation, whether it's from meatpacking.
I don't care about any of this. I don't care about any of this. We have nothing to. No, I don't. We have nothing to work together on. I don't work together with people that want an emperor.
pro-war
I don't want
and
a
you're
person who's a
pro-monopoly.
king. I'm
You're
anti-king.
pro-war and
I'm
pro-monopoly.
anti-king. I'm pro-democracy. I'm pro-democratic.
Does his inability to trust branches of government automatically mean they want them eliminated rather than just reformed to what they believe is trustworthy? Yes. If you don't trust the separation of powers of the branches of government in the United States of America, then it's because you're looking for some other system. You could be a lefty and you're a communist or a socialist, or you're a right-winger and you're a fascist. You're looking for an authoritarian dictatorship centered around protectionism, isolationism, and nationalism. Some sort of like ultra-nationalist ideology that isolates itself from the rest of the world and works under an authoritarian dictator. Yes, 100%.
Anti-king? You literally had multiple coups. You had multiple coups.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, one after another. Come on then.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. What if he's correct on the facts and two of the branches are totally corrupt and fucked? They're not correct on the facts because you can just look and see how they act. Where are all of these people saying that they don't trust the investigations and they don't trust them to charge fairly, complaining about Hunter Biden's charges and convictions? Where are all of these people saying that they don't trust investigations and they don't trust what comes out of any of these things, and they don't trust Mueller, but they'll cite Durham? Or they'll cite her. Like, why? How do you pick and choose? Who are all of these people that say they don't believe anything that Comey said or did? He was a deep state operative, but everything he said about Hillary that was bad was absolutely true and disqualifying. Where, like, it's bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. Isn't the Supreme Court basically fucked now, even from a liberal perspective? I guess it's not corrupt, but you could argue it's being used as an instrument to dismantle democracy. I think some of the rulings that have come out of the Supreme Court justices are unhinged, or at least one of them is unhinged. But, I mean, there are corrective measures. You can pass an amendment, which is very difficult to do, obviously. I do support, and I think that every single reasonable American should support, a reform for the Supreme Court. And that reform should be that, Is it every 8 years or something? There's a thing where like every so many years, you get to nominate a Supreme Court justice. And what it would do is it would ensure that every single election cycle, whoever's elected gets one Supreme Court pick. And I think it would balance out and solve a lot of what some people might feel is the unfair partisanship of the Supreme Court, in that, like, what if you just get really unlucky and one guy gets to nominate? Trump could theoretically get, if he wins his election, he could theoretically nominate 4 justices. That's insane. But conservatives would never acquiesce to that because they control the court right now, so they would never do it. And maybe people on the left wouldn't if they control the court either. I guess you won't. But yeah, I think that Supreme Court justices should it should be one chosen every 18 years or whatever, or however the math works out on that. Would there be term limits? Yeah, there'd be term limits after, because you would cycle back through and then eventually you would or maybe it's every 4 years. I don't remember. Somebody typed this out once and it worked. Would a justice drop off? Yeah, it would be cycling. You'd cycle them out. Once the one guy comes up, then after however many years. Well, I mean, wait, we can just do this. Would it be every 2 years you would pick one, so you could have an 18-year term if there are 9 justices? Or every 4 years you would pick one. You'd have like a 36-year term. Is that how that would work? Should Sotomayor leave so that Biden can put a younger replacement in? Absolutely. Yes. I don't know why she wouldn't. Apparently Supreme Court justices get really triggered when you suggest that. But yeah, I think that oh. Do you find it interesting that right-wingers are so conspiracy-brained but feel so comfortable denying Russian influence? Yeah, I've spoken about this like 50 million times. Oh, 36 years would be way too long of a term limit. Seems like most people age out before then. Then maybe it would be 2-year term limits, I guess? Yeah, I don't know. Or not 2-year term limits. It would be 18 years. And then every 2 years you'd nominate a new Supreme Court justice. What would you do if someone dies? Would you let the current president choose or some other measure? I mean, we could think of something. Or just not allowing one person to decide who is nominated? No. I think it's good that the President of the United States nominates Supreme Court justices. I think that's probably a pretty important separation of powers. I don't know how I would feel about... Because... Fuck, where's peace go? Is the Supreme Court generally pushing back on Congress or generally pushing back on the President? I wonder. I feel like it's probably generally pushing back on the legislative side rather than like the executive order side. That'd be my guess. I wonder if there's any way to look that up. Does Supreme Court rule on presidential or congressional legislative matters more? There's no way I'd be able to find that. It's got to be legislative matters. Like, I'm sure that you could theoretically push back against the president about like some executive orders and stuff, but generally it's going to be legal interpretation and it's going to be laws from Congress. So like, if I'm almost positive that's the case. If that is the case, that they're pushing back against Congress, I wouldn't want Congress being the one to appoint the justice or to nominate the justice. I think the president can nominate the justice, and then with approval from the Senate, I think is fine. I think that's a good balance. Okay, hold on. Let me use the restroom quick, and then we're doing some kind of work today. We're getting unhinged. Oh, no, wait. You guys can watch this guy. JJ.
Likely to hear a lot of euphemistic language about how it is just a spiritual movement and this sort of thing. Governments in the West also tend to talk about the persecution of the Falun Gong as being one of China's most visible human rights abuses. The Chinese government, in turn, really, really hates it when the West does this. They think that we are really enabling this group that they see as a serious threat. Ever since Master Li's exile to America, Falun Gong has spent a lot of time propagandizing to Chinese immigrants in the West, and he seems to have been relatively successful. Here in Vancouver, for instance, which has quite a large Chinese population, you do often see Falun Gong demonstrations against the Chinese government in public protests and stuff. Sometimes they're camped outside government offices and things. The Falun Gong also owns a newspaper called the Epoch Times, which you may have seen. It's very anti-communist as well. But of course, nothing compares to the Shen Yun extravaganza. All right, now let us bring the story back to me. The other day I get an email from some guy named Franco, and he is like, I have a video I want you to put on your YouTube channel. I will give you $500 if you do. And this is very hilarious to me because Franco is very obviously just some sort of Chinese agent who is trying to rope me into some sort of anti-Falun Gong propaganda campaign. The video is terrible. It features a white guy sitting in what I can only describe as a North Korean news studio, blandly reading some script about how evil the Shen Yun show is.
I hope everyone can truly see the real purpose of this forum and the hopes in this video to avoid feeling cheated in the future.
It is so obviously communist propaganda, it really boggles my mind that they thought this would be persuasive to anyone, or that you guys would just accept this if I put this on my channel. It is also a little bit insulting to me that Franco has done absolutely no research into my own background, given that a quick Google search would find that I have written some very critical articles about the Chinese government for the Washington Post. Now obviously I had no intention of taking Franco's money or playing along with his little stunt, but I did try to string him along for a little bit, just so I could learn more about this crazy scheme. I asked him if the money was coming from the Chinese government, and he denied this, but then I said, okay, so how about if I insert a little bit at the beginning where I talk about how evil the Chinese Communist Party is? And he was like, no, 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 you can't do that. I also asked him about the guy in the video, if he maybe had his own YouTube channel or something, and Franco was like, no, he is just a small reporter. I think it would be cool to track him down though. I suspect they paid him a lot, but I wonder if he regrets it. He's probably just some white guy living in China, and I know that they can be easy marks sometimes. If you guys know any good sleuthing techniques, let me know. Anyway, the point I am trying to get across in this video is that propaganda is a complicated thing. To live in the modern world is to be targeted by elaborate, expensive campaigns designed to change your thinking, while also concealing the hand of the person who wants to do that changing. It is also important to understand that propaganda lives in a complex ecosystem in which it responds to and interacts with other forms of propaganda. It is clear, for instance, that both Master Li and the Chinese government feed off the propaganda of each other, and this results in an endless cycle of disinformation in which it is very difficult to tell truth from fiction. The organ harvesting thing is a good example. Both sides have such little credibility, it is really difficult to know what to think. Now personally, I think that a tyrannical communist government is evil, but I also think that a messianic apocalyptic cult is evil in its own way as well, and yet a PR battle is being waged across the world right now, trying to convince us that we have to pick a side. The last thing either side wants is for people to think for themselves. That is the biggest threat of all.
Wow. Do we need to watch any more of this?
What do you mean, come on? JFK used to do that.
Come on.
So it's like,
listen,
they obviously are giving him drugs before he speaks.
The truth is enough. And I'll tell you why it becomes problematic, okay? Look, it's a half joke. They shot Biden up with something last night.
It's not a half joke.
But
here's
what happens. Well, look, if you really believe that, that's fine. It would be just nice to have a basis for it. But yeah, he's going to take a drug test. Okay. Look, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen, okay? Just trust me on this because you've already seen it. You're going to know that it's already true. You are allowing for a BS standard of appraisal. So now...
Intelligent is a BS standard?
It's not intelligent. It's the shooting up part. So now they'll start showing clips of Trump where it seems that he's not speaking fluidly, and they'll talk about whether he's on drugs. And
they did that already.
But that's what you enable with this. I'm saying just stick with the truth. Are our leaders performing the way we need them to be? That's a rhetorical question. No. You had in Congress last night. I forget who smacked me with this stat, but it was a great one.
Do you see how cucked this is? Where he's saying like, well, hold on, guys. Like we'll not do this. We don't do this. I don't think. Have people accused? Not only have people not accused Donald Trump of being on drugs, right? There was remember that I brought this up the other day. There's a huge statement by the APA saying, actually, we think it's inappropriate for professional psychologists to even make statements about Donald Trump's mental health. The APA released that big statement about the Goldwater rule or whatever, right? But he's like, okay, well, can you guys just please not do that? And Candace isn't even like asking the question. She's just following like, oh yeah, this definitely happened. Like this happened. Absolutely. This happened. Boom. Like with zero evidence whatsoever.
14% popularity for members of Congress, right? That sounds about right. It's somewhere between 12% and 20%, depending on the poll. 94% re-election rate. How do you have such low popularity and such high re-election rate? Because the game is rigged. That's why. Now, the truth is enough, okay? Just stick with the truth. The problem is when you get into these situations of comparing a guy who's just a bad guy with what you want in your own leadership. I don't think it sends you to the right place.
The truth is that Vladimir Putin was able to communicate in a way that was coherent.
Would you want Vladimir Putin to be your president?
This is such a fine statement.
Would you want Vladimir Putin to be your president?
That's not what I said.
I'm asking you a question.
That's not what I said.
I'm asking you a question.
You're asking the question because you still cannot deal with the fact that I have accurately described Vladimir Putin as coherent. He is.
There's no question he's coherent. I'm just saying
he's smart?
I think he's an intelligent man, yes.
That's all I said. Oh my God, we got there. We can move on. Good. Oh my God, we got there.
Now make her answer the question. Make her answer the question. Would you want him to be your president? Please ask that again. Cuomo, you motherfucker. Don't let her avoid that question. Please ask that question again and make her fucking answer it, okay? Please.
That's all I said, right?
But it's about why you're using him as an instruction. I have sat across from serial killers that are intelligent men. I don't want them deciding my taxes.
Please.
Did I say that I wanted Vladimir Putin to decide my taxes?
But why?
Then ask her again. Ask her again. Please make her answer that. She won't. She won't say, I don't know. She'll say no. I bet she wouldn't. I bet if he asks her, would you have Vladimir Putin as your president? She'd say, I'd rather him over Biden. That's my guess.
Why hold him up as an example? Why hold him up as an example?
We are talking about
it's like when Trump said Duterte is a tough guy.
Everyone's able to comprehend this, so I'm going to reset it one more time.
One more time.
Okay? We are talking about the State of the Union. I'm talking about the mindset of Americans that understand this is all very performative and the insult to have him up there as if he is the leader of our nation, especially following the interview that we all watched in which Vladimir Putin first and foremost made it clear that he doesn't view our leaders as even leading the country. He views them all as puppets. And that he
but you're still using Putin as a positive comparison to who we have. I mean, I don't know what I'm missing in terms of logic.
This is how I take it. Chris, this is how I take it from the outside.
What is this cuck about to say? All I see from the outside is that, I don't even know what we're actually discussing here, is that Putin is a very strong leader, and we need a strong leader to fight against Putin, and that strong leader is not Biden. That's my guess.
I take it as I want to know everybody's leader on how they are, how formidable they are, and can mine go up against that leader.
Yeah, I can just write. If I get canceled from everything, okay, and you want to know what my future job is going to be, it's going to be writing their scripts, okay? Because I can write I could script these whole fucking shows, every single point, okay? They're such NPCs, they're such bots. It's so easy to predict every single talking point.
Putin and Biden are in a negotiation table, we're going to lose.
Exactly.
That's all
why
I'm thinking
Trump.
about. So for me, I think about somebody being able to sit up against him to say, hey, you got to knock it off with this Ukraine stuff. By the way, let's process this in a different way. We had, I don't know who I was having this conversation with. It was like, well, you know what do you think about this and what do you think about that? I said, listen, we have 4 years of data, pure data of what happened under Trump. They can't play that same game as, aren't you afraid that he has access to the button? He's actually one of the 46 people ever who had access to the button and never used it, and there was no wars, right? For 4 years. It was peaceful. We didn't have no Ukraine, nothing, Afghanistan, nothing going on, no Israel, Hamas, nothing going on, right? This guy's here. He's got access to everything for 3 years. What do we have going on? What we did with Afghanistan, they're wearing our uniform now. What happened with Ukraine and Russia? What happened with Israel and Hamas? According to pure data, one doesn't know how to sit across another alpha and say, check yourself, stop, you cannot behave like
another alpha. This fucking retard is using Andrew Tate foreign policy analysis vocabulary.
To pure data, one doesn't know how to sit across another alpha and say, check yourself, stop, you cannot behave like this again. That's purely how I process the difference between Putin and Biden. I don't sit there and look at Biden and say, man, I can't wait for this guy to go into the boardroom. He's going to crush it in the boardroom behind closed doors negotiating. I say, please don't keep it behind closed doors. I want to see exactly how he's going to be negotiating. He doesn't give you that kind of a confidence.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch it.
Okay. We're done with all this.